The man who pretended to be wealthy for 30 days eventually became a millionaire. The woman who acted healthy for 21 days overcame her arthritis. What they uncovered is a principle showing that reality reshapes itself to align with your actions. Most people, however, follow this in reverse. They wait for proof before believing. They wait to have money before behaving like they're wealthy. They wait to feel confident before acting with confidence. But the truth is, the brain cannot distinguish between authentic and practiced behavior. When you behave as if your goals are already realized, your subconscious accepts it as real and starts bringing it into your life. Right now, millions are stuck in what I call the backwards epidemic. Every morning, they wake up and embody the wrong identity. They act poor even while wanting wealth. They act sick while longing for health. They act rejected while desiring love. They unknowingly become actors in the theater of their own limitations, performing their struggles so convincingly that their subconscious must create matching circumstances. Look at someone constantly battling financial problems. You'll notice how they perform poverty daily. They double-check every price before buying. They sigh when bills arrive. They complain endlessly about rising costs. They constantly discuss what they can't afford. They neglect their appearance and carry themselves with slumped shoulders. Every decision is made from scarcity, choosing the cheapest option regardless of quality or long-term value. Every action, word, and gesture reinforces the identity of someone without money. Their subconscious, observing this repeated performance, concludes, this person is clearly poor. My job is to maintain this identity. And so, it creates more bills, more broken appliances, more lost opportunities, aligning perfectly with the identity being lived out. Now compare this with someone who naturally attracts wealth. Their daily actions look entirely different. They buy what they need without hesitation. They tip generously. They invest in quality items. They speak positively about opportunities instead of obstacles. They carry themselves with calm confidence, expecting good things. They make choices from a mindset of abundance, considering long-term value. They dress well and care for their possessions. Their consistent behavior displays the identity of someone who expects prosperity. The subconscious, witnessing this, responds, this person is wealthy, so I will create more experiences of wealth. And so they attract opportunities, connections, investments, and unexpected gains, each perfectly aligned with the identity they perform. This same principle applies across all areas of life. People stuck in chronic illness often perform a sickness identity from morning until night. They wake up listing symptoms. They move cautiously, as if fragile. They research their conditions endlessly. They talk about their limitations constantly. They plan everything around restrictions. They see themselves primarily as patients, rather than fundamentally healthy individuals. This performance convinces their subconscious to maintain illness to match the identity being lived. Meanwhile, truly healthy individuals embody a health identity even when they occasionally feel unwell. They wake up appreciating their body's strength. They move with confidence and energy. They speak of their body's ability to heal. They plan activities around what they want to do, not what illness might prevent. They view themselves as essentially healthy, simply supporting natural healing when needed. This consistent health performance tells the subconscious to maintain and restore physical well-being. The same applies to relationships. Chronically lonely people often perform a rejection identity without realizing it. They communicate with insecurity and neediness. They over-apologize. They assume others find them dull or bothersome. They withdraw early from social situations, acting like outsiders. Their subconscious observes this lonely performance and generates more isolation to confirm their identity. Meanwhile, socially confident people embody a lovable identity, even when alone. They They speak confidently about their friendships. They assume others enjoy their presence. They set boundaries out of self-respect, not desperation. They engage fully in social interactions, expecting acceptance. Their subconscious reinforces this identity by creating experiences of belonging and appreciation. This backwards way of living traps people in the very conditions they want to escape. Society teaches you to wait for external proof before adopting a new identity. Wait until you have money before acting rich. Wait until you feel confident before showing confidence. Wait until someone loves you before behaving lovable. But this approach creates an impossible gap between your current reality and your desired one. If you only act based on present circumstances, you will never create anything new. You become stuck repeating the same patterns, recreating your existing reality. Your life is a direct result of how you've been acting up to this point. Every thought, emotion, behavior, and word continually instructs your subconscious on the reality it must produce. It doesn't argue, it simply obeys the identity you demonstrate most consistently, shaping external circumstances to match. This is why the gap between where you are and where you want to be never closes if you only act from current conditions instead of intended outcomes. But here's the turning point. When you start acting as if your goals are already fulfilled, your subconscious can no longer separate performance from reality. It treats your actions as truth. Acting successful and being successful create the same neural activity in your brain. A well-played role of prosperity produces the same patterns as genuine prosperity. Your deeper mind accepts the convincing performance as real and begins shaping external circumstances to reflect it. This isn't just motivational talk. It's backed by science. Neuroscience shows that imagined experiences activate the same brain regions as real ones when performed with enough detail, emotion, and repetition. That's why athletes rely on visualization to improve performance. The brain treats it as real practice. Similarly, actors who fully immerse in their roles often develop traits of the characters they portray long after filming ends. The brain literally adapts to support whatever identity is consistently performed, regardless of whether it began as real or imagined. Robert De Niro, for instance, became more confident and assertive after repeatedly playing powerful characters. Meryl Streep developed authentic accents and mannerisms that eventually became part of her personality. Their neural networks adjusted to support the identities they repeatedly performed. Your subconscious follows one unchanging principle. It accepts and manifests whatever you consistently demonstrate through your daily actions, emotions, and words. If your behaviors reflect a mindset of poverty, you will experience poverty. If your actions reflect illness, your body maintains sickness. If you act from a sense of unworthiness, it attracts rejection and abandonment. But when you consistently demonstrate wealth, health, or worthiness through committed behavior, your subconscious has no choice but to create matching external experiences. Joseph Murphy discovered this principle after decades of studying why some people rapidly transform their lives while others remain stuck despite their best efforts. He observed that successful people in every field consistently acted from their desired identity instead of their present circumstances. They behaved as if their goals were already complete rather than distant hopes. They spoke from their envisioned future, not their current limitations. They made choices as their ideal self, not their struggling self. Murphy found that this acting as if principle succeeded where other methods failed because it bypassed the conscious mind's doubts and resistance. When you try to force belief in something your rational mind sees as impossible, you create inner conflict that blocks results. Your conscious mind resists what it considers unrealistic, but when you act as if something is already true, Without needing to convince yourself logically, you slip that new identity past your critical mind and into subconscious acceptance. Your deeper mind responds to what you consistently do, not what you occasionally think. It judges identity by actions, not intentions. It creates reality from demonstrated behavior, not spoken goals. This is why people may repeat affirmations for years without results, while others transform their lives in weeks through consistent identity performance. The biblical basis of this principle appears in Romans 4:17, describing God as the one who calls things that are not as though they were. This is not religious doctrine but practical guidance on how consciousness shapes reality. When you consistently act and speak as if something already exists, you activate the same creative process that turns invisible potential into visible results. You become an active collaborator with the intelligence that responds to steady, demonstrated intention. The reason this subconscious process works so effectively is that your deeper mind evolved to respond to behavior more than logic. Throughout human history, actions revealed reality more reliably than words. If someone consistently acted like a leader, they were treated as one. If someone behaved as part of a group, they were accepted as a member. If a person demonstrated the skills and confidence of a hunter, they became one and were given responsibilities. Your subconscious still follows these ancient survival patterns. It automatically accepts a performed identity as real when the performance is consistent, sustained, and emotionally convincing. Whether the identity began as authentic or consciously chosen doesn't matter. Repetition makes it real in every practical sense. Modern neuroscience supports Murphy's insights through research on neuroplasticity and mirror neurons. The brain rewires itself continuously based on repeated actions, thoughts, and experiences. When you consistently act from a chosen identity, your neural networks reorganize to strengthen that identity. Mirror neurons fire the same way whether you physically perform an action or vividly imagine it, creating the same neurological changes. In either case, this means that acting as if literally rewires your neural pathways to support the identity you perform. Your brain begins producing the same neurotransmitters, hormones, and electrical signals that naturally accompany the role you take on. If you consistently act with confidence, your brain generates the chemistry of confidence. If you persistently act healthy, your nervous system produces the biological patterns of health. If you act loved, your body shifts into the physiology of someone who feels valued and appreciated. Research on professional actors shows how deeply performed identities can embed themselves into both consciousness and biology. Actors who portray confident characters over long periods experience measurable increases in testosterone and decreases in cortisol, the exact hormonal balance of truly confident individuals. Those who embody powerful, successful roles often attract real opportunities for leadership and success in their personal lives. Similarly, actors who perform vibrant, healthy characters frequently report noticeable improvements in their physical well-being during and after their roles. The brain and body adapt fully to reinforce whichever identity is most consistently enacted. Regardless of earlier self-beliefs or limitations, performance becomes reality through neurological adaptation to repeated patterns. The emotional component of identity performance is critical, as emotions provide the energy that drives transformation. Acting without genuine feeling is only surface imitation and fails to influence the subconscious. But when you act successful while truly feeling successful, act healthy while genuinely feeling strong, act loved while sincerely feeling appreciated, You create a complete identity demonstration your deeper mind must accept as truth. The combination of steady behavior and aligned emotion generates a powerful signal that overrides conflicting evidence from present circumstances. Your subconscious then reorganizes reality to match the identity being performed. This explains why some use positive thinking for decades with little change, while others dramatically shift their lives in weeks through committed identity acting. Thinking alone doesn't persuade the subconscious because thoughts remain abstract. But action, combined with emotion, creates undeniable evidence that the subconscious interprets as proof of who you are. When your actions, emotions, and words align around one identity, external reality eventually conforms to it. The law of assumption works through the subconscious mind's direct interpretation of daily behavior patterns. When you consistently act as though you are wealthy, healthy, and loved, your subconscious assumes this must be true and works continuously to maintain it. It draws opportunities for prosperity, supports healing processes in the body, and attracts fulfilling relationships because these outcomes match the identity you consistently display. This principle bypasses conscious resistance. You're not forcing belief in something your rational mind finds impossible. You're simply behaving differently than before. Your logical mind might doubt wealth is possible, but it cannot argue against you acting more confidently around money. It may question perfect health, but it cannot object to you moving with more energy and caring for yourself better. It might resist the idea of being lovable, but it cannot interfere when you treat yourself with more kindness and respect. Acting as if works where other personal growth methods often fail because it engages the entire self, mind, body, emotions, and spirit in creating and sustaining the chosen identity. Affirmations only engage thought. Visualization only engages imagination. Goal setting engages planning. But identity acting engages the whole nervous system in embodying who you decide to become. This complete involvement provides the overwhelming proof the subconscious requires to adopt and maintain the new identity. Consider the story of Robert, a night shift janitor who accidentally discovered this law and used it to become a multimillionaire entrepreneur. Robert spent his nights cleaning office buildings and his days wishing to be a businessman. He lacked education, connections, capital, and any clear path to his goals. Feeling stuck, he had accepted a life of limitation. One evening while cleaning an executive's office, he found an expensive tailored suit left behind. Instead of turning it in immediately, Robert tried it on in front of a mirror. For the first time, he saw himself as a successful professional. The effect was so powerful that he decided to wear that suit under his janitor's coveralls each night. This small action began reshaping his identity. He started walking with the posture of someone who belonged in those offices. He spoke more confidently with business people, addressing them as equals rather than deferentially. He began reading business magazines and financial newspapers during breaks instead of scrolling through distractions. His mindset toward money and personal potential started to change. Within 6 months, one executive noticed his professional demeanor, intelligence, and genuine interest in business, and offered him an entry-level role in marketing. Robert accepted and continued reinforcing his success identity. He dressed slightly, better than necessary, spoke with quiet authority, volunteered for challenging tasks, and carried himself as if destined for leadership. This consistent performance created momentum, bringing promotion after promotion. Within 3 years, he was managing a department. In 5 years, he became a vice president. Within 8 years, he launched his own consulting firm. And by year 12, he had built a business empire worth millions. He never stopped acting as the successful man he chose to be that night in front of the mirror. And eventually, His circumstances matched his internal performance completely. Sarah's story shows how the same principle applies to health. At age 32, she was diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis and told by several doctors that she would live with pain and progressive joint damage for the rest of her life. For 2 years, Sarah acted sick every day. She moved cautiously, as if her body were fragile. She spoke constantly about her symptoms and prognosis. She researched her condition obsessively online. She planned every activity around her restrictions. She saw herself mainly as an arthritis patient, rather than a healthy person dealing with a temporary setback. As a result, her condition steadily worsened because her body reflected the illness identity she lived out every day. Pain grew more intense, her mobility decreased, and medical tests revealed ongoing inflammation throughout her system. She was caught in a downward spiral of poor health that seemed to confirm her doctor's bleak outlook. Then Sarah met Elena, a 60-year-old member of an arthritis support group who had been diagnosed with the same condition 15 years earlier, but showed no signs of disease or limitation. Curious, Sarah asked how this was possible. Elena explained that she had made a deliberate choice to act healthy regardless of her diagnosis or medical history. She moved with confidence and vitality. She spoke about her body's strength and its natural ability to heal. She planned trips and activities around her interests, not around restrictions. She identified as a fundamentally healthy person who had overcome a temporary flare-up. Through this consistent performance of health, Elena's subconscious accepted the role, and her body responded. Her inflammation healed, her joints regained. Flexibility and her energy levels amazed her doctors. She became an inspiration to everyone who knew her story. Motivated by Elena's example, Sarah decided to change her own identity performance completely. Despite ongoing pain, she began moving with trust in her body instead of fear. She talked about recovery and progress rather than illness. She planned active experiences rather than adjusting to limitations. She even dressed like someone full of life rather than someone sick. She committed so fully to the role of a healthy person that her subconscious adapted to it. Within 3 months, her symptoms started to ease. After 6 months, her inflammation markers returned to normal. Within a year, doctors could find no trace of active arthritis. And in 18 months, she was hiking, dancing, and living with more vitality than she had felt in decades. By consistently performing the identity of someone healthy, she had literally acted her way back to wellness. Margaret's story demonstrates how the same principle reshapes relationships. After a painful divorce, she had been single for 12 years and had lost hope of ever finding love again. She behaved like someone unwanted and overlooked. She dressed down for every occasion, avoided social settings, and spoke negatively about men, relationships, and even herself. Her posture, words, and actions reflected an expectation of rejection, leaving her isolated year after year. Then Margaret made a different choice. She began acting as if she was already in the relationship she longed for. She dressed beautifully, every day, even when staying home. She spoke positively about love whenever the subject arose. She created space in her home for a partner by clearing half her closet and preparing her dining table for 2 each evening. She carried herself with the grace and joy of a woman who felt deeply cherished. For 4 months, Margaret embodied this identity. In the 5th month, she met David at a neighborhood coffee shop where she often spent time reading. He was immediately drawn to her radiant energy, natural confidence, and visible contentment. They began dating soon after, built a deep connection within weeks, and were engaged within 10 months. By consistently performing the role of a woman who deserved and attracted love, Margaret acted her way into a genuine, lasting relationship. These transformation stories reveal an essential truth about your current situation. It is not permanent, nor is it a fixed limitation you must live with forever. Instead, it is a temporary reflection of the identity you have been consistently expressing until now. The moment you begin to act from a new identity, you set in motion a process that will inevitably reshape your external reality to reflect your internal state. This is not wishful thinking, denial, or blind belief. It is a clear understanding of how consciousness works through repeated behavior to shape and adjust physical experiences. Your subconscious mind functions like a stage director, arranging the sets, roles, and scenarios to fit the identity you play most convincingly. If you act poor, it creates financial hardship. If you act sick, it reinforces physical limitations. If you act lonely, it brings experiences of isolation. But once you deliberately shift your performance to align with a chosen identity, your subconscious begins redesigning the entire production to support that role. Act wealthy, and it generates opportunities for prosperity. Act healthy, and it orchestrates healing and vitality. Act loved, and it attracts genuine appreciation and connection. The three essential pillars that make lasting transformation inevitable are mental acting, physical acting, and emotional acting. All three must remain aligned and consistent for the law to work effectively. Mental acting means disciplining your inner dialogue to reflect your intended identity rather than your current conditions. If you act wealthy, your thoughts must revolve around opportunities and investments instead of debts and limitations. If you act healthy, your inner conversation must focus on vitality, not symptoms. If you act loved, your thinking must highlight appreciation and connection rather than fear and rejection. This inner rehearsal continuously trains your subconscious to create experiences that align with your mental script. Most people fail to realize how strongly their inner dialogue shapes external reality. The voice in your head constantly instructs your subconscious on what kind of experiences to manifest. If it spends each day dwelling on problems, money struggles, relationship issues, health concerns, the subconscious dutifully creates more of the same. But when you deliberately guide that voice to reflect your desired identity, it becomes a powerful tool, programming your subconscious to create circumstances that match your goals. Physical acting requires adopting the body language, behaviors, clothing, and environment that naturally express your intended identity. Wealthy individuals move, dress, and organize life differently than those in poverty. Healthy people have distinct habits, energy, and routines compared to those who are chronically ill. Loved people interact and set boundaries differently than those who feel rejected. By consciously adopting these patterns before external results arrive, you accelerate the manifestation process. Your body language constantly signals your identity to both your subconscious and others. Slumped shoulders, lack of eye contact, and hesitant movements project insecurity, prompting your subconscious to create experiences that confirm that identity. In contrast, standing tall, making confident eye contact, and moving with purpose communicate capability and competence, which your subconscious then reinforces through supportive experiences. Clothing is another powerful identity signal. It is not merely fabric, it communicates self-image and expectation. Dressing carelessly often creates feelings of defeat and leads others to respond with disregard. Dressing with self-respect fosters confidence, optimism, and positive reactions from others. Your living space also broadcasts identity. A cluttered, chaotic home reflects low self-value, which your subconscious mirrors by maintaining limiting life conditions. By creating a clean, organized, and uplifting environment, you demonstrate respect and optimism, and your subconscious aligns external circumstances accordingly. Emotional acting means deliberately cultivating and sustaining feelings that correspond to your desired outcome as if already achieved. This is not pretending, but focusing on aspects of life that naturally generate authentic emotions and amplifying them daily. If you want abundance, focus on what you already have. If you want health, appreciate the body functions that work well. If you want love, acknowledge the care you already receive. Most people unconsciously focus on what is missing or broken, which produces dissatisfaction and hopelessness. By instead focusing on what works, you generate gratitude, optimism, and contentment, signals your subconscious interprets as proof that life is good and worth expanding. Gratitude, in particular, is a powerful emotion because it instructs your subconscious to preserve and multiply valued aspects of your experience. When thoughts, behaviors, and emotions consistently align with your chosen identity, you create what Murphy described as assumptive living. This means living from your intended reality rather than your current one. It convinces your subconscious that your chosen identity is your actual identity, which activates the transformation process. Assumptive living requires seeing present circumstances as temporary rather than fixed. Instead of acting from what exists, you act from what is becoming. Rather than being shaped by external conditions, you shape them through consistent identity performance. This shift can feel uncomfortable at first because it means letting go of external factors as the main source of self-worth. Most people define themselves by current conditions: job title, finances, relationship status, health. Assumptive living requires defining yourself by your intended future instead. Mistakes that block this process include inconsistency, emotional contradiction, and premature judgment. Inconsistency happens when you adopt the new identity only occasionally, but revert under stress. The subconscious needs steady proof to accept a new identity as real. Mixing new and old behaviors creates confusion and delays transformation. Many start strong, but give up after the first challenge, returning to scarcity thinking when bills arrive, to illness identity when symptoms appear, or to rejection when criticized. Challenges and obstacles are exactly when consistent identity performance becomes most critical and transformative. These difficult times reveal whether your new identity reflects true change or simply temporary pretending. Emotional conflict arises when you practice the right behaviors but feel doubtful, fearful, resentful, or embarrassed about the process. Acting confident while secretly feeling insecure, trying to appear wealthy while feeling guilty about wanting money, or working toward health while being angry about your condition, these contradictions weaken the entire effort. The subconscious responds far more strongly to your genuine emotions than to outward actions. For that reason, emotional alignment is essential for lasting success. Many people act wealthy while secretly ashamed of their financial desires. They try to project confidence while feeling embarrassed about their ambitions. They act healthy while resenting their physical struggles. These inner conflicts block transformation because emotions and actions move in opposite directions. For change to take hold, emotions must fully support your chosen identity. Another obstacle is premature judgment, when you measure results too quickly and abandon the process because visible changes are not immediate. Acting as if requires consistent performance long before external reality begins to shift. If you quit too soon, you disrupt the process just before real progress could unfold. This is difficult because society trains us to trust only what we can see and measure. Yet the law of assumption works through faith in the unseen creative process, not reliance on current appearances. Visible change is the final stage of transformation, never the first. The sequence is always the same. Identity shifts internally, followed by new thought and feeling patterns, then by changes in habits and behaviors, and finally by external circumstances. Recognizing this order helps prevent doubt during the lag time between adopting a new identity and witnessing results. The subconscious mind needs time to reorganize your reality. In the meantime, conditions may appear unchanged or even contradictory to your goals. This is temporary. Holding faith during this stage creates the breakthrough that makes transformation visible and lasting. Your present circumstances reflect the identity you have consistently demonstrated so far. If you want different results, you must perform a different identity. The 90-minute system you're learning today gives you the power to deliberately choose which identity to live through your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, instead of replaying outdated patterns from childhood. Choose one area of your life, wealth, health, or love, and begin performing the identity that produces success in that area. If you choose wealth, act like someone who naturally attracts money through wise choices and optimism. If you choose health, behave like someone whose body heals and thrives. If you choose love, carry yourself like someone who easily creates fulfilling relationships. Perform the identity daily for at least 21 consecutive days, watching your thoughts, emotions, and actions carefully. Notice when old patterns resurface and consciously replace them with your chosen response. Live from the future you intend, not the present you want to leave behind. The subconscious holds unlimited creative power when given consistent, clear direction through identity performance. The same intelligence that heals wounds, grows hair, and beats your heart can reorganize your entire external reality. By aligning your actions with your intended outcomes, you become a conscious partner with this creative power. The subconscious cannot distinguish between a well-performed identity and an authentic one. With enough consistency, intensity, and commitment, it accepts your demonstration as truth and generates external conditions to match it. This is your invitation to become the deliberate creator of your life. Select the identity that reflects your deepest goals. Perform it faithfully, no matter what current circumstances look like. Trust the process that turns invisible assumptions into visible reality through consistent action. Transformation will follow in ways that inspire both you and those who witness your change. Identity performance works with mathematical precision. For example, when you act wealthy, your subconscious not only reshapes your beliefs about money, it directs your focus toward opportunities you once overlooked, influences your decisions to favor abundance, and shifts your energy so others perceive you as capable and trustworthy. It arranges countless small events that create the experience of prosperity. The same principle applies to health. Acting healthy instructs your subconscious to optimize every system in your body: hormones, immunity, sleep cycles, and cellular repair. These processes, often underestimated by science, can restore vitality and even heal conditions considered incurable when guided by sustained, healthy identity performance. Every thought, emotion, and identity choice triggers real biochemical changes. Acting confident raises testosterone and lowers cortisol. Acting loved boosts oxytocin and serotonin. Demonstrating vitality energizes and repairs cells. You're performed. Identity literally becomes your biology. In relationships, your identity determines what psychologists call your attachment broadcast. Every person constantly communicates emotional state through expressions, tone, posture, and presence. High self-worth projects stability and attracts healthy partners, while insecurity broadcasts neediness, pushing stable people away. By consistently performing the identity of someone loved and valued, you embody qualities that make you truly lovable and valuable. Scientific research continues to validate these effects. Neuroplasticity shows that consistent thought and emotion patterns reshape the brain. Epigenetics reveals that these patterns can switch genes on or off, rewriting biology. Placebo studies prove that belief alone activates healing mechanisms equal to medication. These findings confirm what earlier thinkers taught. Consciousness directly shapes biology, circumstances, and possibilities, often below the level of conscious awareness. Identity performance gives you deliberate access to this creative process. There is also a spiritual dimension. Many people find greater success when recognizing that personal consciousness is part of a larger universal intelligence. Aligning your identity with this intelligence connects you with resources and insights beyond individual willpower. Practical ways to engage include starting each day with gratitude, acknowledging that you are cooperating with infinite intelligence, asking for guidance, and listening to intuition. This isn't tied to any religion. It simply recognizes a greater intelligence at work. Adding this dimension often accelerates transformation and provides direction psychology alone cannot offer. History is filled with examples of dramatic transformations through identity performance. A factory worker became an inventor by consistently acting like someone who creates valuable solutions. A shy woman became a confident public speaker after practicing confidence daily for 6 months. A man struggling with depression became optimistic and joyful by consistently performing a positive identity. These changes came not from denial of reality, but from replacing limiting patterns with empowering ones. Through sustained daily practice, emotional alignment, and faith in the process, ordinary people achieve extraordinary results. They maintained their practice regardless of outward appearances, inner doubts, or criticism from others until their subconscious fully embraced the new identity and expressed it completely in their external reality. Financial breakthroughs through wealth, identity performance often involve opportunities and resources appearing under seemingly impossible circumstances. For example, a single mother with no business background built a successful online company after consistently embodying an entrepreneurial identity for 8 months. A factory worker with only a high school education became a successful real estate investor by acting like someone who naturally understands property values and markets. A retired teacher living on a small pension attracted an inheritance from a distant relative she had never met after performing abundance identity for 1 year. These financial transformations occurred as the subconscious attracted the right people. Knowledge, situations, and opportunities needed to reflect the demonstrated wealth identity. To outside observers, the results looked miraculous, but they were simply the natural outcome of consistent identity performance producing matching external experiences. Health transformations through wellness identity practice often involve healing conditions thought to be incurable or irreversible. A woman with advanced multiple sclerosis regained full mobility after performing a perfect health identity for 18 months. A man with severe heart disease normalized his cardiac function by consistently acting as though his heart was fully healthy. For 2 years, a child with severe asthma breathed freely for the first time after her family together performed a healthy identity for 6 months. In each case, the subconscious directed biological processes toward creating health instead of sustaining illness. By repeatedly demonstrating that wellness was their true nature, their bodies activated healing mechanisms and optimized functions to reflect this consistent identity. Relationship breakthroughs through love. Identity practice often involve finding ideal partners after years of disappointment, restoring struggling marriages, or attracting meaningful communities and friendships. A man divorced twice met his soulmate after 4 months of performing a beloved identity. A couple on the verge of separation deepened their connection and renewed their marriage after 6 months of practicing appreciation and commitment identities. A socially isolated woman developed a network of close friends after embodying social confidence and genuine care for 1 year. These relationship changes emerged as identity performance reshaped both inner emotional states and outward behavior. By embodying qualities such as love, appreciation, and authenticity, people naturally drew others who valued and reciprocated those same traits. The unifying factor in every transformation is unwavering dedication to identity performance despite appearances, doubts, obstacles, or external conditions. Those who succeed recognize that reality may temporarily appear to contradict their desired identity, while old patterns dissolve and new ones take shape. Instead of retreating, they remain consistent, understanding this as evidence of deep transformation in progress. They trust the creative process fully rather than judging results by temporary appearances. Advanced practitioners develop what Murphy described as identity mastery, the ability to consciously shift between multiple identities depending on the outcome desired. They may perform a wealth identity during work, a health identity during exercise, and a love identity during social interactions. This advanced skill requires strong self-awareness and discipline, but allows for rapid progress across many areas of life simultaneously. The effects of successful identity performance extend far beyond the initial results. Wealth identity often reduces stress, increasing vitality and enabling better self-care. Health identity frequently builds confidence that improves careers and relationships. Love identity strengthens self-worth, enriching every aspect of life. Each transformation supports the others, creating an upward spiral of greater success and fulfillment. Some people even uncover hidden talents or abilities during the process. A businessman acting from a success identity developed strong intuition for investments. A mother performing harmony identity sensed her family's emotional needs with unusual clarity. A student embodying brilliance identity began mastering complex subjects with surprising ease. These experiences suggest that identity performance awakens dormant potentials within consciousness. The impact often extends to families and communities. Children improve behavior and academic results when parents transform through identity practice. Spouses become more supportive as one partner grows in self-worth and happiness. Friends and co-workers respond more positively to someone radiating confidence, contentment, and genuine care. Identity transformation can break cycles of limitation passed down for generations. Parents who overcome scarcity through wealth identity raise children who expect success naturally. Adults who heal relationship wounds through love identity model healthier bonds for their children. Those who achieve stable health through wellness identity often uplift the vitality of those living with them. As more people adopt identity performance, collective consciousness itself shifts toward empowerment and possibility. Each successful transformation inspires others, creating circles of influence that expand outward into communities and cultures. Maintaining motivation during difficult phases requires understanding the psychology of transformation. The ego mind will resist change with doubts, logical objections, or emotional discomfort, and attempt to preserve familiar patterns even when those patterns cause suffering. Anticipating this resistance and redirecting attention back to identity practice is essential. Building a supportive network of like-minded individuals greatly improves success. Sharing progress, challenges, and insights with those who encourage rather than discourage strengthens persistence. Celebrating small wins is also critical, as the subconscious responds strongly to appreciation and recognition of progress. Gratitude for even minor improvements accelerates transformation. Criticism or ridicule from others must not derail the process. Friends, family, or colleagues may doubt or discourage your practice. Recognizing that such skepticism often stems from their own fear of change helps maintain perspective and focus. Murphy called reality reorganization the phenomenon where success in one area unexpectedly improves others. Someone performing health identity may see finances improve due to greater productivity. Someone practicing wealth identity may notice better relationships as stress decreases and generosity grows. Someone performing love identity may experience improved health through the emotional benefits of connection. For those facing stubborn resistance due to trauma, deep conditioning, or cultural programming, additional strategies may be necessary. Longer practice, greater intensity, therapeutic support, or complementary methods such as meditation, energy work, or spiritual practices. Physical practices like exercise and nutrition also enhance results by supporting both mind and body during transformation. Identity performance also works through frequency alignment. Since everything, including thoughts, emotions, and circumstances, vibrates at certain frequencies, the practice gradually adjusts your personal frequency to match your desired outcomes. Those already close to the desired state see quicker results, while those further away require more time and persistence. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in removing emotional blocks. Holding resentment or self-condemnation creates resistance that prevents new patterns from forming. Letting go of past grievances frees emotional energy for transformation. Seasonal cycles also influence results. Spring often supports new beginnings. Autumn enhances manifestation, winter favors inner healing, and summer energizes outward progress. Modern science increasingly validates Murphy's principles. Research on meditation shows measurable brain changes within weeks. Placebo studies prove that belief alone can produce healing and improved performance. Quantum physics suggests consciousness shapes reality at a fundamental level. Epigenetics reveals that thoughts and emotions can activate or suppress genes, rewriting biological programming. These findings confirm what Murphy taught long before science could measure it. Consciousness directs experience. With practice, identity. Performance matures into conscious creation, the ability to manifest outcomes quickly and consistently through focused intention and emotional alignment. Masters of this practice adjust their identities at will, attract resources effortlessly, maintain health, abundance, and love despite external conditions, and often guide others in achieving the same mastery. This is the ultimate goal: conscious direction of life experience through deliberate identity choice. Choosing to practice these principles places you among the few willing to take full responsibility for life rather than remain bound by unconscious patterns, external conditions, or inherited limitations. This path requires courage, discipline, and faith, but those who persist discover possibilities they never imagined. Their lives become living proof of human potential realized. Their success inspires others to begin their own journeys. The ripple effects extend far beyond the individual, influencing all who encounter the transformed identity. Your success, too, will stand as evidence that no one is permanently defined by circumstances, genetics, or cultural limits. Conscious identity practice allows you to reprogram your reality. Remember, you carry the same consciousness that has fueled every transformation throughout history. The difference lies in applying these principles deliberately. Your mind holds infinite intelligence and creative power, fully capable of shaping your highest potential. With the identity performance system you now understand, you can consciously access this creative process. Begin tomorrow with complete confidence in your ability to transform any area of life through sustained practice. Choose the identity that matches your most important goal and live it into reality. Commit fully to living your chosen identity with steady consistency, regardless of appearances, doubts, or outside challenges. Trust that your subconscious will always respond to repeated identity performance, just as Murphy confirmed through years of research and practical application with thousands of students. Expect transformation to begin immediately and to grow continually as you master conscious creation through systematic identity practice. Your new life is waiting for you, and it begins with the simple choice to become who you decide to be. Daily practice of identity performance requires structure to ensure consistency while still allowing natural adjustment to your unique situation and personality. Morning identity activation should take place within the first hour after waking, when the brain shifts from theta to alpha waves, an ideal state for subconscious influence. This is not about rigid rituals, but about setting a stable foundation that reinforces your chosen identity before old habits are triggered by outside influences. Spend 5 quiet minutes each morning reflecting on the identity you choose to embody today. This is not visualization or affirmation, but a direct statement of self. If you are living a wealth identity, you might say inwardly, "I am someone who naturally attracts and manages money wisely." For health identity, you might affirm, "I am someone whose body functions perfectly and heals rapidly." For love identity, you might declare, "I am someone who gives and receives love freely." The key is to speak from your intended identity, as established fact, not as a mere hope. Follow this declaration with 3 practical actions that express your chosen identity. A person living wealth identity might check investments with excitement rather than fear, plan an act of generosity, or research a new financial opportunity. Someone choosing health might do an energetic movement to honor their body, prepare nourishing food with gratitude, or visualize their immune system working perfectly. A person living love identity might send a kind message to someone they value, practice self-compassion, or perform a small act of kindness for a stranger. These morning actions act as anchors that set the tone for the day and make it easier to respond in alignment when challenges arise. The exact actions are less important than their consistency and the genuine feeling behind them. The subconscious reacts more to the energy of your actions than to the actions themselves. Throughout the day, maintain your chosen identity with regular check-ins. Murphy referred to this as identity maintenance. Set reminders to gently ask yourself, "Who am I being right now?" If you notice yourself slipping into old habits, worrying about money, focusing on symptoms, or expecting rejection, you can immediately redirect your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors back to your chosen identity. This is not about harsh self-criticism, but about awareness and gentle correction. Each time you replace an old response with a new one, you strengthen the neural pathways that support transformation and weaken those tied to past limitations. Evening identity reinforcement takes place in the last 30 minutes before sleep, when the conscious mind relaxes and the subconscious is most open. Review your day from the perspective of your chosen identity, focusing on successes rather than failures. Appreciate the times you acted in alignment, and if old patterns appeared, treat them as feedback on areas needing more attention, not as evidence of failure. End the day by speaking directly to your subconscious with gratitude for embracing your chosen identity. Thank it for constantly reshaping circumstances to match your consistent patterns, and express appreciation for changes already unfolding beneath the surface. This gratitude convinces the subconscious that identity performance is effective and should continue. Environmental factors also shape identity performance. Both physical surroundings and social influences either reinforce or weaken your chosen identity. Create a living space that reflects abundance, health, or love, rather than one that reminds you of lack or limitation. For wealth identity, maintain an orderly, clean, and visually pleasing environment. For health identity, prioritize natural, light, fresh air, plants, accessible healthy foods, and visible exercise tools. For love identity, cultivate a warm, welcoming space with comfortable seating, uplifting photos, fresh flowers, and reminders of times when you felt valued. Social connections matter just as much. Some people will reinforce your new identity, while others will unconsciously pull you back into old limitations. During transformation, reduce time spent with those who consistently complain, doubt, or resist positive change. This is not about cutting ties permanently, but about protecting your developing identity during its most vulnerable stage. Instead, seek relationships that reflect your chosen identity. Spend time with successful people if you are developing wealth, with health-focused people if you are pursuing vitality, and with emotionally mature people if you are cultivating love. Surrounding yourself with those who embody your goals makes the identity feel natural and expected. Language patterns are another powerful influence. The words you use either affirm your identity or undermine it through constant repetition. Wealth identity requires removing phrases like "I can't afford it" or "money is scarce." Replace them with "I choose not to buy that now" or "money flows to me through many channels." Health identity requires replacing "I always get sick" with "my body heals quickly." Love identity requires shifting from "nobody understands me" to "I connect easily with others." Over time, these subtle changes reshape the subconscious to expect health, abundance, and love. Physical posture and movement also communicate identity to your subconscious and to others. Wealthy people move with calm confidence rather than anxious haste. Healthy people move fluidly, breathe fully, and stand tall. Those living love identity interact with openness, set healthy boundaries, and express authenticity rather than defensiveness. Practice these movement patterns daily. Walk as if you belong, sit as if confident, and speak as if your words carry value. These physical signals shift how others respond to you and reinforce your identity internally. Financial aspects of wealth identity combine practical wisdom with an abundance mindset. This does not mean careless spending, but making choices from confidence rather than fear. Pay bills with gratitude, tip generously when appropriate, invest in long-term value, and develop multiple income streams. View money as energy that circulates rather than something to hoard. Align daily financial actions with abundance, and your subconscious will guide you to opportunities that match this state of mind. Health identity combines medical support with lifestyle choices that enhance the body's natural healing. Eat foods that energize, exercise in enjoyable ways, and manage stress through calming practices. Speak to your body with appreciation, not frustration. Cells respond to mental and emotional states, and gratitude strengthens the healing process. While criticism reinforces illness, love identity requires building inner qualities that attract healthy relationships. Develop self-respect, self-care, and compassion. Express appreciation without expectation. Set boundaries firmly but kindly, and communicate needs openly. Release the urge to control others, and instead focus on being the kind of person you would want in your life. Healthy relationships will be naturally drawn to you. The spiritual side of identity performance connects your transformation to a greater purpose. Progress is more sustainable when it serves not only you, but others. Wealth can support family, create jobs, or fund meaningful causes. Health can inspire loved ones and enable service. Love can build harmony in families and communities. Seeing identity as service prevents it from becoming self-centered and adds deeper meaning that sustains motivation. Long-term transformation requires ongoing commitment. Regularly check whether you are maintaining your chosen identity or slipping back into old habits. Build accountability with supportive people, mentors, or coaches, and continue learning through books, courses, or spiritual practices. Teaching others what you've learned strengthens your own mastery and multiplies the positive impact of your transformation. Ultimately, identity performance is about more than self-improvement. It is about becoming a conscious creator who understands the power to shape reality through intention and consistent action. Your transformation will inspire others, serving as living proof of what is possible. Remember, every master began where you are, with a desire for more and a willingness to practice principles many dismiss as unrealistic. By applying them with faith and consistency, you join a growing community of individuals consciously shaping human potential. This is larger than personal change. It is part of a collective awakening to the creative power within every individual. Your success contributes to this awakening while creating the life you've always known was possible. Begin tomorrow with confidence in your ability to transform any area of life through identity performance. Trust the creative intelligence that always responds to consistent action. Allow yourself to finally become who you were always capable of being, once free from unconscious patterns and external conditioning.